Are my hands steady? That means I'm not nervous. Ready to go? Hello, Internet. Welcome to episode 22 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass. I want to give a special hello to Ohio is on Fire, who is our most recent subscriber here at Verbal Graffiti. We have fewer than 50 subscribers so far, so I do know all of your internet names. Those of you who do subscribe, thank you very much. I've been giving, before we get into the episode, I've been having some reflection on the word addiction and what it actually means. I am doing this because I've come to the realization within the past year, but really much so within the last month, that I have a physical addiction to coffee. Maybe it's caffeine, but I love the taste of coffee. And when I hear the term addiction talked about in the media, it's usually done so in a negative light. It's usually people having to go to rehab or interventions for things like drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, and what have you, whatever your vice might be. What they don't tell you about the addiction, and what I've come to realize as a person who thankfully doesn't get addicted to many things, is that I love my addiction to coffee. It's my favorite part of the day. When you press the button and the little sound, the bubbles that make when the coffee is brewing, the brewing sound and the scent, the aroma that permeates throughout the kitchen as the pot's being made. And when you pour it and then the steam that comes up and that first sip that kind of burns the top of your mouth, it fills my soul. And I know it's an addiction because I do crave it. It's the first thing I crave when I wake up. And I have my first cup at usually around 10 a.m. And usually by 1 p.m., I start thinking about having a second cup. And what I do is I have just shitty grounded coffee in the morning, but usually the late afternoon, usually around 4 p.m., I buy coffee beans, like whole beans, and I grind them and I make a pour over coffee. And I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to the caffeine, the bean juice. And I just seeing it ferment. Is ferment the right word? I don't know. I just love making it, and it's therapeutic to me. And I know if you have more than one cup of coffee per day, that's actually not good for your sleep. But I love my addiction. So now I understand why there are heroin addicts and why they're laying down on the pavement and why people become alcoholics and gamble their life away and leave their family because they bet their mortgage and lost. I know it's not the same level, but no one ever talks about how great the addiction feels. So here at Verbal Graffiti, if you're addicted to something, I understand, I relate, and keep up with your addiction, even if you do lose your family because of it. Because I think I'd give up, maybe not my whole family, but definitely one of my 3 sisters I'd give away for a lifetime of coffee. If it's coffee or my sister, Missy, bye, Missy. I need my cup of joe in the morning. All right. Enough of it with coffee. Let's get into the episode. This is a fun one. It comes from the subreddit Walmart. Fuck off, Karen. Look, I'm a cart pusher, and there's always that one person who doesn't want to move out the door. I say, excuse me, 5 times. She didn't want to move. I went in front and asked her to move. She ignored me. I gave her a warning. She ignored it. I pushed the carts around her, and guess what happened? She decided to move right in front of it and then goes on to blame me. Like, are you fucking kidding? I gave you so many chances, even went to her to tell her, and even tried to go around her the bed moment she said the carts were right next to her. She decided to fucking move, but to the wrong way. She started to complain and asked to see my manager. Oh, baby. I told my manager to watch the camera. She come back 3 minutes later and told Karen, either leave the building or don't come back to the store. W for my store manager. And now I give respect to him. Well, who knew Walmart had instant replay? Good for Walmart. This is the exact definition of fuck around and find out. Because when you're going to get into a physical, no, sorry, not physical, this was a verbal altercation, you need to be very cognizant of the adversary you're getting involved with, because cart pushers are at like the bottom of the spectrum. No disrespect to this cart pusher, but I know somebody who is a cart pusher. He goes by the name Ben Ortiz, and I'll say his full name because I don't think he'll mind. He's a stand-up comedian in the New Haven area, and he's during the day he's a cart pusher. I believe it's one of the ShopRites in the state. And just to tell you a little bit about Ben Ortiz, he is legit schizophrenic, clinically diagnosed. He was living off the dole most of his life, but recently he got this job as a cart pusher, and now he has his own apartment. So all of us comedians, we're really happy that he's kind of got his life together. But again, he's schizophrenic, legit schizophrenic. He doesn't like physically hurt people. He just has affinity for sexually harassing female coworkers of his, and also female comedians that are on our like Instagram and Facebook groups. Not like physically sexually assault them, but just he likes to make comments to them, and he's kind of has an addiction with prostitutes that he's trying to overcome. Again, it's a work in progress, but that's the type of person you're dealing with when you're mouthing off to a cart pusher. I also have another comedian friend, I won't say his name, but he worked at Cumberland Farms, and there was a guy who came in 2 nights in a row, elderly gentleman, who mouthed off to him, and my friend was the guy behind the register, and the second time he mouthed off, he punched that elderly man, and he lost his job. But again, when you have a job like that, you have nothing to lose. So if you're going to mouth off to one of them, there is a good chance you might get punched in the face, or even worse, maybe spit on. So the fact that this lady was trying to like working on her boxing out technique with the shopping carts is that's a wild move, because you got to understand, like in the Walmart pecking order of employees, it's like the manager is probably at the top, but the cart pusher is probably at the bottom. Like, you think about the cart pusher. Like, Walmart will employ that person, but they won't let that person inside Walmart. That tells you what Walmart thinks of that employee, and they don't think very highly of that person at all. So the fact that you're messing around with this minimum wage employee, yeah, you're a Karen, and fuck you. I think your punishment should be like, you shouldn't be kicked out of the store. That's way too easy. What the manager should have done is found somebody in the store who owns like a Ford 150, one of those big trucks, and then that lady, that Karen, should have had her big toe ran over by the F-150. She should have to feel some physical pain for the nonsense she inflicted on that, just that woman doing her job, pushing carts. I also have a larger point to make about cart pushers in general, and that it really is a sign that our empire is in decline, that we need to have cart pushers, because there are so many people, because we have cart pushers because so many people think it's okay to just leave their cart in the parking lot. Now, you go to any grocery store and it's a landmine of carts in the parking lot, because nobody returns them to the return area where you're supposed to put your cart afterwards. I think as a society, we put too much emphasis on tipping people, maybe 20 to 30%. And there are too many people that think, well, if I tip a service worker 20%, that absolves me of all sins I've committed up to that date. And that is wrong, because, well, it's not that it's wrong. It's just that you need to do more than just tip a service worker. You need to do good deeds. And when you leave your cart, buy your car, and just drive off with your groceries, you're a shitty human being and you deserve to be punched in the face or have your big toe ran over by a big F-150. And this girl really is a Karen, and it's the type of person I despise. It's the type of person I look down upon. It's when people ask me, hey, do you think everybody's equal? No. The people who leave their carts in the parking lot are below me. They're below you. They're below our 29 subscribers here at Verbal Graffiti. And I'm happy that manager at Walmart had his cart pushers back. A W for one of the good people. One of the guys who, I'm sorry, I'm assuming this is probably a lady push cart just by her language. But the fact, this is someone who makes their lunch, goes to work, works outside, took shit from someone, a Karen, who thought she was like above the car pusher in the pecking order. And the manager said, nah, fuck you, leave Walmart. Just think about what type of person you have to be to get kicked out of Walmart. And this is the lady who did. So I'm happy you went to bat for your employee at Walmart. All of us here at Verbal Graffiti, we put our cards back in the thing so the car pusher doesn't have to do so. We're very happy your manager had your back. Good for you. Fuck the Karen. Hope she breaks her toe on an F-150. Let's get to the next segment now. If you play Photo Hunt, you probably realize I went back to the pink neon lights. That's because Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler, or he was as a kid. I was a big WWF guy. That's right, not WWE. When I was a kid, my number one wrestler was Bret Hart. I also loved The Undertaker, Macho Man. This was mid-90s when he was like a cartoon character, wore the cowboy hat. I also loved Doink the Clown and his midget, little person, Dink. And I also loved the Brooklyn Brawler, who was kind of a jobber at the time. Those were my guys. So yeah, we're going to stick with the pink. Let's get into this one because it's probably going to make a lot of you angry. And I like teasing people a little bit. So let's get to it. This one comes from the LinkedIn Lunatics subreddit. LinkedIn physician wants government mandated maximum age of marriage. Let's have at it. Marrying after 30 years of age is neither good for you nor the human race. The quality of ova, human egg, and sperm starts decreasing as we cross 35 years of age. Not only does this lead to infertility and difficulty getting pregnant, but also leads to high-risk pregnancy with potential complications during and after pregnancy. In addition to these, the risk of genetic disorders like Down syndrome increase exponentially in newborns. I don't know how to pronounce that word. You can witness this from the mushrooming of IVF centers in every other building and every other ad about these centers on the radio. Market size, which is expected to double in the next 10 years. It's easy to follow the lifestyle of stars like Priyanka Chopra, but techniques like cryopreservation, egg freezing, now you know why I don't work in medical field because I don't know how to pronounce these words, are very difficult to follow both financially well as physically, and also not recommended as a preferred way of getting pregnant, aka knocked up. The way late marriage are becoming pandemic in human interest, the government may have to pass a max age of marriage law in the same way that we have a minimum age of marriage, which I think is 18. Listen, I'm over the age of 35. My sperm is as useful as spoiled milk. Why would any babe in her right mind want to marry me? The government should pass a 30 and over no marriage law so that has-beens like myself don't populate the world with more low IQ babies. I'm being a little bit facetious there. I do agree with this doctor and what he said. I just come at the marriage law from a completely more fun-spirited angle. First of all, I love Down syndrome people. I don't see enough of them anymore. First of all, they love wrestling, which I just went over. I love. They love eating pizza. They have great personalities. I'm doing a lot of this episode. They're super strong. They have a great laugh. They're a joy to be around. I don't think I'd want to be the parent of one if I'm being truthful, but just hanging out for one afternoon, give me a Downey over any normal guy I meet at a bar who wants to talk about the fucking NFL draft or why the Yankees just lost 3 games in a row. Yeah, give me Downey. Is that a good term? Anyways, moving on from that. The reason why I'm all for a marriage, no marriage over the age of 30. Reason number one is sometimes I like looking at my parents' wedding album, and my parents got married in their early 20s. So this doctor would be very think positively of that. But I love looking at my parents' wedding album because they were still in college at the time, and this was the early 70s. So I just love looking at their fashion, the way they looked, the way their hair was. They got married in New York City. So there are some photos of the street so you can see all the type of cars that were driving around at that time in the early 70s in New York. And I also got to see what my aunts and uncles, and they all wore these like frilly hats. It was very 70s. It was very of that time, of that era. And if you get married post 35 or in your 40s or 50s or beyond, like whatever your style is of clothing, it's probably not going to change that much from the time you get married. So your album, it's just going to be what you look like now. Just you didn't have as many wrinkles as you did when you got married at 35. That's, to me, that's one of the like long range things. That's one of the most fun parts of a marriage, is looking back at someone's album and seeing how much everyone has changed. And you don't get that when you get married over the age of 35. Secondly, and this is a big one, asking for gifts from your family and friends when you're over the age of 35, that's ick, as I mentioned in the previous episode. Definitely ick. Because if you're 35, you should have your shit together. I don't, but that's why I'm doing verbal graffiti. But most people, if they're a couple over the age of 35 getting married, they've already lived together for 4 years. They have a house. They both are fully employed. They don't need money from you and me and your aunt to help out with their life. The only thing that money's going towards is towards their honeymoon, which, fuck off. Why am I giving you money for your honeymoon? For people getting married in their early 20s, right out of college, those are people, that's a couple that needs money. They're the type of people, when they get married, they should walk around the reception with the big pillowcase, requesting envelopes from every guest, hopefully filled with over $200. Because we all know there's that one guest, probably an uncle like myself, who will give you like $44. But the younger people need that money. Like, that's a jumping off point in life. So good on them for asking family and friends for money. And I'm more than willing to give you a few $100s. No more than that. Because as I've said before, I am very, very cheap. And also, finally, if you're getting married over the age of 35, is your partner, he or she, really the love of your life? I think not. Because you probably have already had like 7 previous girlfriends, 2 of which were engagements that got broken off. And now you're going to tell me the lady you're marrying today, oh, that's the love of your life? Fuck out of here. Getting married over the age of 35 is like finding a lady at the bar past midnight. She's the only one who will deal with your shit. And that's the reason why you're marrying her. Because she's your last option before you have to marry someone with Down syndrome. we love you, but we don't want to be married to you. That was a little rude. I am very pro Down syndrome person, young and old. But yeah, you don't come at me telling me, oh yeah, this is the love of my life. She's not. She's just, it's convenient. You're feeling the pressure. You're trying to move on with your life. And it just happens to be the person you're with when you're at that age where like everyone's looking at you crazy. So you're feeling forced to marry her. So I am totally with this doctor here. There should be, like age 30 and above, no marriage law. And that'd be an awesome excuse for me. Like, babe, oh, you want to get married? I'm sorry. The government tells me I can't. My bad. I would love to, but I follow the laws and don't want to go to prison. But again, as far as his stance, where like the infertility and the birth defects, I'm not a scientist. It seems like technology is getting better. Any defect we might be able to help fix with medical breakthroughs. Like, why the fuck am I talking about medical breakthroughs here at Verbal Graffiti? I gotta learn how to speak. Yeah, but I am all for no marriages over the age of 30. Till next episode, go suck a fat one.